If you could have any car you wanted right now, what would you have? Would it be a normal car, an SUV, or a truck? Would it be a normal gasoline-powered car or an electric-powered car? Maybe you want an electric vehicle but don't even know about them to make the choice. Maybe you want an electric vehicle but don't know how well or how bad they impact the environment or how well they even work. Today I'm going to try and explain some information on electric vehicles. Alright, so my first topic is the batteries. There's supposed to be words there, but they're not there, so I don't know. So the battery in an electric vehicle is pretty intricate and involves precious metals to be made. An electric battery will often include nickel, cobalt, and lithium. So that's nickel, cobalt, and lithium. That's what they look like pretty much, and there's the battery. Mining for these materials takes up land, and different machinery is used to mine up these materials. Some electric vehicles also require lead. Quote, when the lead for these vehicles is smelted and recycled, there is a substantial release of lead into the environment. End quote, Lester Lave. Lead can not only be harmful to the environment, but to humans as well. Quote, lead is a neurotoxin, causing reduced cognitive function and behavioral problems, even at low levels in the blood. End quote, Lave. As time goes on, more electric vehicles will most likely be purchased, and the demands for these vehicles will go up. The more demand these vehicles have, the more mining needed. If you are worried about the environment, this might be a thing you want to consider if you want an electric vehicle. Something that has been discussed regarding this issue is what happens when the battery's life has ended. If the battery is taken apart, the materials can be used again. So these three can be taken out because obviously they're precious. This is good for getting those materials back from the battery to be used again in a future electric car battery. But what happens when the parts of the battery that can't be used again? Well, once those materials are taken out, about half of the other materials are recyclable and the other half just gets shredded up and put into a landfill most likely, or some other area. And that might be a concern to you if you want an electric vehicle. But a positive is that electric vehicles are somewhat new, and there's always ways to improve them. So maybe one day there'll be a fully recyclable battery, hopefully. So if you want an electric vehicle in the future, that might be a thing to look at. The battery isn't the only topic revolving around electric vehicles, though. How does an electric vehicle perform? The battery may have some downfalls, but does it perform well? Let's look at some different examples of vehicles. A plug-in hybrid vehicle will travel around 40 miles before switching to gasoline power. After using all of the electric and gas power, the vehicle will have traveled around 372 miles total. Quote, when running on electricity, EVs produce zero harmful tailpipe emissions. End quote, the many benefits. A fully electric vehicle like the Tesla Roadster can travel 198.8 miles before ending, and before you need to charge it. A gasoline-powered vehicle on average will travel 200 to 400 miles before it needs gas, obviously. A normal gas-powered engine creates heat as you drive so it doesn't get cold, obviously. So when it's the winter, it just heats itself up automatically. And like when you feel the front of your car and when you're done driving, it's just hot. But an electric vehicle doesn't have that, it gets cold. So if you are driving like in Minnesota, that might be a scary thing to drive a Tesla. It's like, it gets cold, obviously. So that's not a good thing. You don't want your car just getting cold because that could damage the battery as well and make it not last as long. Batteries in Teslas or any electric vehicle also have parasitic losses. Where the battery could last a shorter amount of time if you were using more features. So going back to like winter, this would be a good example for Minnesota. Like imagine you're driving to work, maybe you work half hour away. It's snowing, so you got your heat going in your car, you got your windshield wipers going, probably your radio going, all these features, so that'll use more of the battery's energy and make it not last as long most likely. But like in the summer, be as bad, but you still are using some features. So that's just a thing to consider too. With an electric vehicle, you want to be mindful of how many features you're using. But a parasitic loss in an electric vehicle can include AC, heating, power steering, windshield wipers, headlights, heated seats, radio, and the self-driving feature in some select vehicles, like a Tesla that drives itself. And I would assume that that uses a lot more power than just driving on your own. Another important topic revolving some electric vehicles is the emission they create. This is a topic that concerns most people. So, the emissions for an electric vehicle, the tailpipe has no emission because there's no tailpipe. But like a gasoline-powered vehicle has emission because of the tailpipe. The emission that an electric vehicle has isn't from the vehicle itself. So when you have an electric vehicle, you have to charge it at your own house or at a place like Central Park. I think we have something like that in Litchfield where you can charge an electric vehicle. And that requires a lot of energy. And it depends on where you're getting that energy from, so what type of emission it will create. So if you live in a place where you get power from a coal plant, that will have emission and that will not help with global warming if that is something you are worried about. So most electric vehicles are like in cities. Like if you go to Minneapolis, you'll see people driving Teslas and stuff like that. And most likely in a city, for some bigger cities, you'll get power from like a nuclear plant, and a nuclear plant is the cleanest source of energy. So if you're getting power from that, that's like the best, that's a win-win. So if you're concerned about global warming for Tesla or any electric vehicle, you would want to make sure you are living in an area where you get power from a nuclear plant or like solar panel or wind turbine, not like fossil fuels. So some quotes that go with this. Quote, "They have zero tailpipe emission. Their life cycle global warming emissions are significantly lower than those vehicles fueled with gasoline or diesel." End quote. Odia Ragwell. So basically, if you have an electric vehicle, say for example you get your power from a coal plant, it's still less than what a normal gasoline powered vehicle would have. So like you're still, if you were concerned about global warming, you're still like helping, I guess, in that way. But you can also compare emission for gas and electric in other ways. For gasoline powered vehicles, oil is extracted and moved to a refinery and gasoline is created. So there's just like a bunch of little random things that go with this. I've explained some of the concerns and benefits of electric vehicles, so now hopefully you understand electric vehicles better. Now as you purchase your next vehicle in the future, you can think about all these topics and apply them when you make a purchase. Thank you for listening.